About 10 years ago, I was driving up 65 North one day, and it was in December. It was close to Christmas, and I saw this guy walking. He was hitchhiking, and he had on a T-shirt, and it had to be like about 25 degrees. So I really felt bad for him. So I stopped, and asked the guy where he was going. I picked him up. I said, "Well, let me, I took him back to my house." And this guy had been working on my gutters, and he'd left a couple of days. He left this really nice jacket there, so I gave him this guy's jacket.
So if the guy's watching today and he wonders where his jacket is, Dickie gave it away. He never came back.
You know, my son, I was trying to teach my son that it's better to give than to get for Christmas, And he looked at me and said, "Okay, I agree. What you going to get me for Christmas?" One Christmas a few years back, I wasn't married at the time. And
Which one?
I can't remember. And my mother had gone out to California to be with my brother and sister out there, and my sister, who works for me, had gone to her children's home, and my son was in the Marines, and he was overseas, and my daughter and her family were living in Texas and hadn't been able to come up, and I was at home by myself, and I never felt so lonely in all my life. I guess I live by myself. I spend most of my time by myself, and I'm used to that. But at Christmas, it just felt so lonely. And that morning, my phone rang. Christmas morning, my phone rang, and it was Furlan Husky, and he invited me to come over. He had found out I was by myself, and so Tommy Collins and I ended up over at Furlan's house with their family, and all his kids were there, and it was really a big, nice Christmas to spend a day there with them.
Jan?
I don't know if I've told some of y'all know it, and I don't think I've told this before about. Remember the year that the Opryland Hotel gave us all a suite for Christmas, and we were invited to come and with our family or whatever, and go to the Christmas dinner, the country Christmas, and everything. Well, I took my two granddaughters, and we had a 2-bedroom suite. And the dining room in the middle and the whole bit. They were 7, I think, and 9 or 10. And they just loved it. We dressed up and went down for dinner and everything. And Anita, the youngest one, she really loved it because there was a phone in the bathroom. She could call all of her girlfriends. Well, we just loved it, and it was beautiful, and they were thoroughly enjoying it. Well, the next morning, I ordered room service for breakfast. And we were sitting at the dining room table in there, and they were looking out over this beautiful atrium and everything. And I was being very serious, because they were saying, "Man, this is cool. This is really good." And I said, "Well, don't get too used to it unless your daddy wants to pay for it, But I said, "This is really great, and it was really nice of them to give us this gift." I said, and it's all wonderful, but you've got to remember what Christmas is really all about. Don't forget that, the birth of Jesus and everything. Anita was saying, Mitzi, the oldest, was saying, "Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am." But Anita was looking very serious, but something else, there's something on her mind. And she said, "Well, I know that, Jan. I know all that. And we know all about what Christmas is about, but," and I told them that presents was not important, really. It was what it was all about, the love. And she said, "But the day that I don't want presents," she said, "you take me to the nearest emergency room because I'll be very sick."
I'm with her.
Bill, we tried to tell our kids, hey, gifts is not where it's at. There's kids all over the world that a lot of them never get gifts, and a lot of them, go hungry. And one of my grandkids piped up and said, "Show me one." Felt like bopping him.
I was kind of like Johnny one year, 1969. I had just gone through a divorce, and I felt so bad because my children were very young. I had 2 daughters. One was about 7, maybe 8, and the other one was 4. And I was feeling like I was really neglecting them. at Christmas. I felt like there's a big part of Christmas is missing because we're not together as a family. And my daughters came and stayed with me for a few days prior to Christmas. And of all the Christmas gifts they've ever given me, this is the greatest gift they ever gave me. I was tucking them in bed on the night of December 23rd, and I was feeling so bad, like I had really let them down. And my littlest one looked up at me and she said, "Daddy, we are the luckiest kids in the world." And I said, "What do you mean, why?" She said, "Because we have 2 houses where we're loved." We have 2 houses where we're loved. Skeeter, sing us a song.
Wow, let me get over that first, because I think there really is something in that.
What a
that
gift,
and when
yeah,
that
it
when they
was.
look at it from that perspective, too, that's a wonderful thing you just said there. It's 2 houses where they're loved. Well, we were going to do another little boogie song, but then I was talking with your band over there, and this is an old song, one of the first ones that I sang.
It's Jimmy Dickens'
Yeah,
band.
Jimmy, and I hope Jimmy's got this one down over there. I know he'll know this one.
You don't have to worry about me.
Goes
I'm on
back.
top of it.
Yes, he's right. He is right on top of everything right there. Even if he ain't got on his pink suit today. And I guess, as all of you girls know to holler out which chord, I just have to say hit a chord over there. When I was just a youngster, Christmas meant one thing, that I'd be getting lots of toys that day. I learned a whole lot different when my mother set me down, and she taught me to spell Christmas this way. C is for the Christ child, born upon this day. H for herald angels in the night. R means our Redeemer. I means Israel. S is for the star that shone so bright. T is for 3 wise men, they who traveled far. M is for the manger where he lay. A is all he stands for. S means shepherd's cave, and that's why there's a Christmas day. Yes, that's why there's a Christmas day. I learned that from Eddie Arnold. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Thanks.
You had a pretty good background singer
I
over there,
said
Kitty
thank you over
Wells.
there. I priced, I'm telling you. That's when I've sung with the best right there. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Let me just say one thing, how Christmas affected an old friend of ours, Farron Young. When I was single, like Johnny Russell, one of the times that I was single, and I was living on the premises of Mr. Young's mansion, close to you, Bill, out there on Harbor Island and then the good old Cumberland River. And I got a phone call the day before Christmas, and he said, Kilgore, this is your old war buddy, Johnny. I said, how you doing, Mr. Cash? He said, how's the sheriff treating you? I said, oh, we're getting along just fine. We're planning a big Christmas. He's going to do the cooking. And I said, well, he said, are you just going to have Christmas alone, you and the sheriff? I said, well, my girlfriend, Judy, and Barron will have somebody. And he said, well, I'd like to break the mold. We've never done this before. I'd like to invite you and your guests to have Christmas dinner at our house. We always have for the family. So when Farron came in, I told him, he said, are you kidding me? I said, no. He said, well, tell him we'll do it. It'll be a great honor. So we went out there, and we had the family at this big table, and he had at our plates little presents for Farron, my date, which is later my wife, and Farron and his date. Farron was so moved by that, in his last will and testimony, he said, I want my ashes spread out over Johnny Cash's boat dock. And to this day, Johnny has a placard marking the spot where the ashes fell at his boat dock. Yeah.